favour, please say aye. Against, carried. 8.2 is schedule of functions attended by the Chief Executive. I'm happy to move that. Councillor Parker, thank you. Put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, into the grunt of the meeting now. So the first report is 9.1 and welcoming communities program endorsement, and we welcome Beth and Adele. Yes, thank you very much. And the floor is yours, ladies.
Thank you. You'll see from the report, the Welcoming Communities Program, we're seeking the endorsement to send a request through to Immigration New Zealand for funding that they supply for a 3-year fixed term contract. It's all about welcoming all people to our community, which is in line with their long-term plan, the Thriving Together. It's an endorsement under the council to have welcoming communities and a realistic and achievable plan forward to assist all newcomers to the district. And newcomers is a lot wider than perhaps previously thought, because it now also includes people relocating in New Zealand, which there's a lot doing coming to the Timaru district. Other than that, it's pretty much there. We have a lot of support from local community groups, and the libraries themselves are already working with some of these, but it's forming a partnership. It's not council alone, it's a partnership with community groups, which is building stronger communities. So we're looking for the endorsement to put an expression of interest to immigration in New Zealand.
Awesome.
Any questions?
I'm sure there will be. We'll go first to Councillor Wills.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for a very detailed report, Adele. Very informative, and I can see the benefit would be great for our community. A couple of questions I have is in regards to the co-funding and the cost analysis, along with the possible 50,000 we get from MBIE. Have we looked at what the funding will be internally, using our own systems and personnel involved?
Our staff will support the program in a certain way. The library's already doing that. I mean, we've got the Supporting Local Chamber of Commerce Award this year. So a lot of departments are already doing a small part. Beth's community engagement would be following this through, connecting with the communities, and other departments would be supporting it, whether it be the museums, art galleries, whoever is putting forward our contribution plus the contribution of other groups as a one-stop shop for new people. So it's not going to go outside any current funder.
So with that there then, has there been any discussion at this stage here with the other groups, and I'm talking most probably Mana Whenua, Māori Cultural, a number of the other kahai that are around there in the community, but also about how that will look as far as a program putting together forward to meet the expectations of these people arriving into the district? Because it's going to be very diverse.
Yeah, we've already spoken with Aoraki Migrant Centre, and yes, there will be a working group having representatives from other people. The library already works with Aotearoa Literacy. We have English language partners at the library. We also work with Spark as a partnership with the Skinny Jump, the free modems. So it would all be partnership moving forwards, giving the pathway for the district.
So you're looking at one full-time position, or how's that going to look as far as?
Yeah, it will be a full-time position. It will be co-funded with this particular funding and then pulled from the different departments within council. Exactly where that person will sit, they'll probably straddle and connect really closely into the groups that Adele mentioned previously, but we will be funding that specifically. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's about all for me. So I'm happy to support it. I see real benefits, especially with the growth we're expecting for people coming to our region and district as well. So thank you for the report, very informative, and I'm happy to support it. Happy to move it as well.
Happy to move it as well. Thank you. Thanks, councillor Wills. Move now to councillor Burt.
Thank you. Yeah, in light of those questions, it really shows that this unlocks that funding. It fits with the pillars that we're required to enhance and deliver within our community, and so therefore I'm happy to second councillor Wills' proposition. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Burt. Councillor Parker and then councillor Booth.
Thank you. One of my questions was with councillor Wills' question regarding the co-funding. So once again, it's not using any. It's within existing budgets, which I think is great. Great initiative. Once again, the library are doing an outstanding job being innovative and looking at ways to support our community and our wider diverse community. I think this really adds value to our community, and I totally agree with the scope. It should be, it's not new immigrants, it's anyone new. So well done, and definitely endorse it. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Parker. Councillor Booth.
It appears to me to be a duplication of activities already been undertaken by different groups. The various groups are supporting the migrants who arrive here now. And I guess, it's people giving money to someone else to give money away. I mean, it seems quite strange that there appears to be quite a bit of stuff already there, lined up. And so, it sort of means that it's almost like we're taking taking on new responsibility as council, which really is, while it's nice to have new people coming here and we're helping them, but, it appears to me that there's actually already quite a bit of help there now. Also, the other thing is when that funding goes away, who's going to pay for that? And, what are we paying over and above for this full-time person? And then there's going to be other overheads. So actually, have you extrapolated that out in regards to costs and the cost of the ratepayer once that funding is withdrawn, which could go in a couple of years' time?
So, in respect to the first component of your question, councillor Booth, this is not to deliver, not to be supporting ongoing service delivery, and it is distinct to the service delivery that all of the other service organisations in our community do currently. In terms of the additional costing, so Adele and I haven't sat down yet to work out exactly what that will look like. We're anticipating that it would be a top-up of that $50,000, so that $50,000 will go specific to activities, but then probably what we'll need to do is just pull some resource internally from the budgets within Adele's team and my own to manage the coordination of that. So we're anticipating probably an additional $30,000 on top of that. But again, that's not a direct exact costing of it yet.
Sorry, councillor Wills, can you just pop out and let councillor Booth go? Yep, go for it, Alan.
Yeah, what can they expect from you? So a visa holder comes in from France, for instance, they're going to come to you for what?
Our role is not to be the first point of contact. That will be the service deliveries in service organisations in the community that are already doing that. That won't change. Our job is to facilitate and support activities that will create a more welcoming environment for newcomers. So in terms of that actual first point of contact, first liaison, service delivery and connection into other services within the the community, that will exist. That already exists and that won't change.
So could you give me an example of an activity?
Well, for example, Ashburton Council did a mural, a welcoming mural. There were other ideas that we floated around, which might be coffee groups, for example, or small activities that help people navigate the community if they've arrived new into town. That it might be taking them out throughout the district and showing them around, for example, small tiki tours. They're not comprehensive, but they're activities just designed to build social connection.
Councillor Wills.
Would there be an opportunity for a bit of synergy between the Safe Community Council's rep and this particular role?
Yes. Yes. It's exactly that.
So you see that as working together or one or?
we consider it to be working together because we would have that sitting within, and this has a broader remit in terms of the delivery of those actual activities, which is the whereas the safer communities is quite limited in its remit. So whilst they work closely together and there will be crossover, that is a distinct role.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking at the options and I can't read them. So I assume no one else can read them.
The recommendations.
The recommendations? Options and preferred options.
That might be your,
It's the same as Paddy's.
oh,
Recommendation.
yeah, one is endorsement and two is non-endorsement, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of corruption, I think, but yeah. I take your point, but yeah. Yeah, so it goes, if you go back to page 23 on the report. So the council endorses the submission of an expression of interest, which is the option 1 to Immigration New Zealand. Bearing in mind this is only expression of interest, so there's a little bit of time will tell to see if we're successful, but I think there's been some prior engagement with welcoming communities as well. So there is a bit of a plan behind it. And I think if you think to the wider opportunities, some of the demands on, businesses, etc., as far as needing workforce, I think, some of these things off to the side probably support where we need to be looking from an economic lens as well. So probably across multiple well-beings, if you like. So any further questions for the team? So they can move forward on expressions of interest. So we've got a mover, which is Councillor Wills. Anyone would like to second that? Oh, sorry, Councillor Burt did second that. Okay, further discussion? No, I'll put the motion to the floor. Those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Fantastic. Thanks, ladies, appreciate that. We'll go now to 9.2. So Brendan, we've got Paul, for gambling policy. I'm not sure who's, we've got Brendan, fantastic. Debbie and possibly Mark as well. So welcome up, team. Pass to you, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Your Worship, and councillors. We're bringing to you today a report that contains as an attachment a social impact assessment to assist your decision making around adopting the statement of proposal to go to the community with. There's been quite a lot of work done on this project by the corporate planning team and Debbie as well. I've probably had the least amount to do with it at this table. So I'll hand over to these guys to be available for any questions and to give an overview.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Council. Good afternoon. As Paul mentioned, the gambling venue policy is currently under review, as is required every 3 years by law. And we're now at the stage where we're seeking council approval of a proposed policy and consultation material to take out to the community for formal consultation. I intend to briefly highlight certain aspects of the report that's before you, but don't intend to speak to every aspect of it, and as Paul said, very happy to take questions. This has been assessed as being of low significance, mainly because we propose to consult on retaining the existing policy, which has been in place for an extensive period of time, and because the early preliminary feedback and social impact assessment indicates that the current policy is working relatively well. In terms of a brief explanation as to how we got to this point, so earlier in the year, when it was identified that the policy was due for review, as officers we began discussions about the merits of the current policy, commissioned the social impact assessment from external consultants, undertook the early engagement that I've mentioned with identified key stakeholders in the industry, and of that received 15 responses. and then also held a workshop with council in July, which you may remember fondly. Sure. So in terms of a little bit of discussion and some key points to bring to your attention, the social impact assessment indicates that the Timaru district is broadly reflective of New Zealand's overall Class 4 gambling as regards to number of machines and venues. It also indicates that the district spent per adult slightly more than the New Zealand average per adult per year, and that's spoken to on page 7 of the social impact assessment if there's any desire to delve into that further. The key point that the social impact assessment makes in that respect is that the average was skewed somewhat by a number of people spending significantly more than the majority, than the average. However, notwithstanding that, it also states that the district has relatively low rates of problem gambling compared with New Zealand overall, in terms of both the number that have self-reported to harm minimisation services, but also other academic estimates. Notwithstanding that, it's difficult to ascertain exact numbers. A couple of other quick points before discussing options. The grants from Class 4 gambling has become over time an important funding source for